When the Sultana had docked in Vicksburg at 6 p.m. on April 22nd, she arrived with an issue of her own. One of her boilers was leaking as a result of suffering from a ruptured seam or crack in the boiler plate, which forced the onboard engineer to lower the pressure in the system. This in turn significantly slowed the boat's speed. As the crack needed to be patched, a local mechanic was brought in. Although the mechanic wanted to cut out and replace the seam, Mason knew such a job would take a few days, likely costing him his shipment of prisoners who would have consequently been sent home on other boats. Mason and his chief engineer convinced the mechanic to make temporary repairs. He hammered back the bulged boiler plate and riveted a patch over the seam that was less thick than what would be required to properly address the damage. Ultimately, the temporary repair took 1 day instead of several. All the while, Sultana moved to take on her payload of prisoners. The released federal prisoners were moved from Camp Fisk to Vicksburg by train. Although Hatch suggested that Mason might get as many as 1,000 released Union prisoners, a mix-up with the parole camp books and suspicion of bribery from other steamboat captains caused the Union officer in charge of the loading, Captain George Augustus Williams, to place every man at the parole camp on board Sultana, believing the number to be less than 1,500.